As many roads as there are travelers, up to the mountain peak each man has a path. Some take a winding road to walk upon, some take a road unknown but still carry on.
Within Chinese philosophy and culture, the concept of longevity is of utmost importance. There are 3 wise men in Chinese mythology that are found in millions of homes. They are meant to bring happiness, prosperity, and longevity. The word Xing means star. This one is Fu Xing. Fu means luck or good fortune. This is losing for prosperity or wealth. And here is Shu Xing, the star god of prosperity. These 3 old wise men are not worshipped or idolized, but considered like good luck charms. Images of Shu Xing, the star god of longevity, are common on birthday cards. Shu is the most popular of the 3 star gods. Everyone wants to live a long, happy life, right? Although we cannot control how long we are destined to be here on this earth, there are some choices we can make to bring us closer to experiencing longevity.
Researchers at Harvard University have described longevity as a human capacity to live a long, healthy and happy life. Of course, there are parameters for long, healthy and happy. But Harvard researchers, on the basis of a 75-year-old study in cultures and countries across the planet Earth, have been able to identify what represents longevity in people living in different parts of the world. It seems to be a very simple capacity to adjust or adapt lifestyle according to about 7 fundamental principles. These are individuals who indicated longevity, long, healthy and happy life, had a very close relationship with nature and natural law. They lived in association with the green world, with trees and plants and animals and birds, and had a relationship with nature rather than just living in the jungles of artificiality, neon worlds and concrete environments. Secondly, even in tribes they found individuals indicated a daily sense of purposefulness. There were things that they wanted to accomplish, set about to accomplish. And these were not major things in the sense of making a lot of money today or saving mankind, but doing simple but purposed activities, particularly in the context of relationships with other people at work or in the environment or in the forest or just where they lived. Thirdly, these individuals demonstrated a daily sense of body care, washing, cleansing body, doing daily exercises and stretchings, even just walking and moving around, practices we found in the Japanese community for flexibility, yoga practices, for example, that just built strength, flexibility, and got rid of tensions and toxins on the physical body. Very importantly was the diet. These individuals who lived long, healthy and happy lives had a diet that included fruit, fresh fruits and vegetables, nuts and legumes, a minimized amount of meat, and a minimized amount of processed foods. And they drank a lot of water and liquids and juices, and they ate regularly. They never missed their little breakfast in the morning, their lunchtime food, their evening meal, which was not exorbitant or huge meals, but they ate regularly. And in between they would have bits of snacks like fruits or nuts or something that nourished the body. So diet was crucial. Lots of vegetables. These individuals also had developed or had learnt practices of meditation, of centering prayer, of solitude, of quietness, of being able to come to terms with self as I am. This is who I am, and I am comfortable with my being as a gift of life, a gift from God. And I will meditate regularly. I will pray every day. I will reflect on the scriptures or inspirational teachings. They had that capacity. The individuals also were very much involved in family, community, and inclusiveness practices. They were bonded with others in fellowship, in dining, in working. They didn't just live in isolation of others, and they had a sense of contributing to the welfare of others in the society or in the community or in the home, the children or the elderly. But there was this bonding of community life. And one of the interesting factors in the Harvard longevity study is the fact that these individuals had and cultivated non-judgmental relationships. That they not just were bickering and negative and pulling down of each other, they were forgiving and they were helpful and non-judgmental to each other. And finally, they were all involved in recreational activities, swimming, walking, nature hiking, just being quiet, playing games. So they chose hobbies and interests that were recreational and not necessarily involved with earning and making money or building great dreams of mankind, saving and so on. Recreational activity that regenerated mind and body and spirit. Now the scientists at Harvard said when they discovered this concept of non-judgmental relationship, they called it the love factor. And they found that this was the factor that was most important for people who lived these long, healthy and happy lives. That they gave love, they shared fellowship, they received love. So while the Harvard description in a scientific way says non-judgmental relationship, it's a capacity to give and to receive love. We have spoken about the importance of living a long, healthy and happy life. What is the purpose of life? Why were we born? To be destroying ourselves? To be full of anxiety and anger? God has given us life. In the Eastern and yogic teaching, they say we have prana, life force, something so beautiful. God has given us the gift of life. And even the Holy Father says the purpose of life is to be happy and to be close to God and feel a sense of purpose and importance in the context of God's plan for us. Many people are dying too young, and there are too many prevalent illnesses that come from a lifestyle that is artificial. So longevity is to live a life that is natural, cool, simple, not simplistic but simple. What's your feeling, Damien, on this artificial world that we've created for ourselves?
Well, I would have to agree that I think that many people do seem to be striving for artificiality sometimes. I'm not sure if it's because of the message that comes to us through the media and through our peers that we need to aim for a certain thing that maybe we learn from it from foreign places or from the media. But I move away from that, and I feel it because over the last few years, running my own business, having 2 teenagers in the house, you do have to find yourself grounded in yourself and in your spirituality. And I found what helps me is to really simplify, to withdraw from the artificiality. So I start off my day not even rushing into work. I work from home, but I don't go to my desk first thing in the morning. I actually come back from dropping the kids at school, sit down on my porch. I have my mango trees in front of me, my little garden, and I'll have my coffee, and I would say a little prayer. Sometimes I'd use a scripture passage for the day and say a prayer and just kind of center myself with why am I here? What is all the work that I'm doing for? What is my purpose in life? I'm grounded in that. That's my first activity of the day. Then I would, of course, then launch into whatever my responsibilities are for that day, work-wise. And then at some point in the day, I'd exercise. And I particularly like the fact that I exercise in my neighborhood. I don't go to a gym. I don't go into a room. I actually take a run in my neighborhood. I actually say hello to people. People who I don't even know their names, but I know they live nearby. And I found that over the last months and years I've been doing that, I find more people actually saying hello to me back. They don't know who I am. They just recognize me as a familiar face. And I like that. I like that people actually respond to me and say, hey, look, that guy's running by. Hey, how are you going? And sometimes you have a conversation.
That's beautiful because we are part of a community.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Correct.
what has happened, and maybe Diane, you could talk about that a little bit. Communities are important, even for living long, happy and healthy, rather than just being in my little world and in my little space. So what's your thinking on that?
Well, I think it's extremely important for a human being to be connected to people, to other people. And I live in a community which was started by families. So we are 15 households in one community, and several brothers and sisters, but of course people like myself moved in. But everybody in the community knows each other. Every child calls everybody else uncle and auntie. When my children were young and they disappeared in the morning, I was never worried because I would get a call from auntie up the hill. I'm feeding them now, don't worry. But then they'll end up at my house for dinner.
So beautiful.
Yeah, and I never worried about where they were because I always knew there was an eye on them.
Yes.
Some aunt or uncle somewhere else in the community is looking at them if they're doing something dangerous.
Yeah.
The only rule was that they had to be back home before dark by 6. So that gave me as well as a parent a sense of well-being and comfort and safety. I think the whole idea of connectedness also means safety.
And belonging too, huh?
Belonging. Because it's safe to reveal yourself to your neighbors and your friends,
Right.
no judgment. And it is the children would say things to the aunties that they wouldn't say at home. I'll get a call, your son is worried about X, Y, and Z. He didn't tell me, but he told auntie, but I know. So it really was the whole concept of a village raising the children. It's not only your parents, and the whole connectedness of it, I thought is extremely important, and I'm very grateful that I still live in that community.
Cohen, you had shared with me before that even in your growing up as a child, that your mother and parent was very conscious of your individuality, and then just lump you into like everybody else. How important is that for us to remember to do that, to recognize the blessedness of each child and the individuality of each person in our family?
I think the individualness of each person in the family creates a family and brings a blessing and brings learning. And by that I mean that the uniqueness of each person, in that helps the family learn more about each other and learn new things about each other, what is going on around them, and learn about life, learn about humanity. And I think when parents spend the time to understand the individuality, hone in and work with it, and I talked to you about my experience where I had a brother who was much brighter than me, brilliant, and coming first in test. I wasn't so. And I always saw my mother will pull me away from my brother when he was quite impatient, and she would sit with me. And she would take the time, and before you know it, it would be a little longer than usual, but at the end of the day, I learned how to spell the word stone that gave me so much problem. I always remember that. All right? I always forgetting the E. And eventually I learned, all right? I understood the tables, the reason for it and everything, because she took the time and she understood. Here was a child that moves slower but can cope, and we had to use different things.
Okay.
Individuality. And eventually I realized she passed that lesson on to my brother, who realized, okay, I got to be more patient with him, because he spent time in school with me, because he was at these two forms, or always two standards ahead of me, as the case may be. And so that individuality and understanding from the parent, I think, is important in keeping the family together and keeping stress and anxiety out of it,
right.
and doubt and worry about, okay, we probably have to take the child to the doctor, we probably have to take the child by someone, or something is wrong with the child.
Yeah.
Yes,
Judy, would you say that we understand our purpose for being alive? You work as a coach, you help and guide people. Do
Not
people
everyone
really know?
does. I've seen
Yeah.
people reach the age of 90-something and still searching for their purpose in life. I think I'm fortunate in having found my purpose in life, and I see my daughter, who is much younger, and she's already identified her purpose in life. But getting to finding your purpose in life is really about getting in tune with yourself. Right?
Yes.
And again,
Respecting yourself.
Respecting yourself, and the busyness of life doesn't necessarily allow us to come into tune with ourselves. You know, as Damien was sharing, I smiled because I have reached this stage where I appreciate the importance of not jumping into the day if I'm going to extend my life and have a fruitful life. So I begin my day with a meditation session. I take my time and I do my 20 minutes of silence. I do it in a room where I can see nature, appreciate nature, value nature, give gratitude to nature, and commune with nature and see what messages are coming forward. Because those are the messages that will guide you in terms of not running your body as if it's a sports car, you know, 100 plus kilometers per hour, and being actually able to tune into what's going on in your body. We get messages about what's happening in our
And we
body.
don't pay attention.
We don't pay attention.
Yeah.
So as opposed to treating it and living a longer life, we ignore it and then we land up having to have surgery, etc.
Right.
So I think that if we're going to appreciate the longevity and experience the longevity in a healthy way, one of the practices that, for me, that has been very important is that ability to silence self, become conscious of surroundings, and recognize that your messages come from any and everywhere.
Beautiful. And the research, the Harvard research, also indicates the importance of family and of inclusion of all in family, the child, the elderly, but we should bond as family and belong. And the longevity study indicates that that's very crucial. What's your thinking on that?
I believe it's very important because the family is the base where you develop your personality, which will carry you throughout your life. It will continue through school, through the workplace. So I think that it's so important that you get that grounding in your family and that you feel loved and respected and fulfilled as a person. So as you continue to walk throughout the world, while things might upset us, you have that strong foundation.
Yeah. The thing is, we will be challenged with life all the time, so it's not going to have a flat, perfect life.
Yeah.
But Susie, we have not been paying enough attention to the community as a family.
Not at all. Not at
So
all.
somehow
I think
we have to return to the sense of community
I'm
as
listening
well.
to Di talk about her community, and I want to come and live there.
You're welcome.
And that's, in Trinidad, that has been something that is our culture for so long. We are naturally a hospitable people. We have often had the village bring up the child, and I think over the years we have lost that. You live in neighborhoods, even if it is a safe neighborhood, you find that the walls are getting higher. We are fearful. And I think because of our fear of danger or of crime or of I don't have enough or I have too much that I need to protect, I think that our fear is preventing us from exploring community. When we put up physical barriers, we put up barriers towards each other. And I say that the one thing is to break down walls, open up windows, and be able to talk out to the street and say hi to the neighbor.
Right. And the
Who runs by.
The Holy Father is saying that we need to break the walls
community is so
and
important.
boundaries.
You know, that's when you see and you hear. You know, you realize so often that people are lonely, people are fearful, but people want friendship. People want relationship.
To bond and to belong.
Our bodies tell us you want to stop and talk.
Right. So human longevity is not an abstract concept. It's about living long, healthy, and happy, and about doing the simple and graceful things that allow us. We start our day with prayerfulness, with meditation, with silence. We spend time with each other. We spend time for each other. We bond. We grow. And human longevity is a result. Like health is a result of proper diet and exercise. Longevity is a result of living a simple, balanced, and harmonious life.
We have seen how important it is for us to have healthy relationships. A lot also has to do with keeping ourselves healthy, what we eat, and the lifestyle choices we make.
Prevention is basically making healthier lifestyle choices before anything happens, making it a lifestyle as opposed to saying that you're on a diet. If you're eating healthy, exercising regularly, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, all of this works holistically to help you move forward as the best physical body that you can be. I am recommending that you look at the Caribbean 6 food groups. So the Caribbean 6 food groups includes your staples, your legumes, your peas and beans and nuts, your food from animals, your fruit, your vegetables, and your fats. But you choose healthier from those groups. You look for, in the carbohydrate or your staples group, you look for the whole grain foods. You look for things like ground provisions, and you cook them differently. You boil them. You don't boil and fry them. In terms of your peas and beans, you choose more peas and beans and put more peas and beans on your plate. Instead of making them in our context, instead of chunking them, you try to make them without oil and without additional fat. Your fruits and vegetables, try to eat as much raw fruit and vegetables as you can, with the skins preferably. That's where you get all your vitamins and minerals. Your fats, instead of choosing margarines and butters, you choose olive oil or even coconut oil now to make your fat choices healthier. You eat everything in moderation. Everything is in moderation. You don't throw out food simply because you don't think it's unhealthy, but you do it in moderation. We have the highest rates of childhood obesity within the Caribbean simply because we are not feeding our children properly. Parents are now rushing on mornings, so very often children are leaving home without breakfast. They get to school and they may buy something at the cafeteria that's not necessarily healthy because our school cafeterias don't offer healthier choices. Then they may eat lunch at school which may not be packed from home. They may, again, buy things in the cafeteria. By the time they get home, they're not making choices in terms of fruits and vegetables as snacks. They're eating packaged processed foods. And that's really not where we want to go. Long-term, childhood obesity, childhood diabetes, all of these lifestyle diseases are literally that, lifestyle diseases. We need to move away from that by feeding them and nourishing them properly, using the Caribbean 6 food groups, using better cooking methods, using healthier choices for our children. People on the go don't eat well, generally. They just pick up something that they can eat in their car, which generally leads to them eating snacks, eating something fried, as opposed to eating a full meal and sitting down and actually enjoying that meal and eating mindfully. We don't recognize the importance of eating healthy. There are basics that help us to move forward as a healthy people. Eating properly and eating healthy, getting enough sleep, getting some exercise, daily exercise, and drinking enough water. We don't do that as a people, generally. We may do one or the other, but we don't do all together.
They say we are what we eat. But as we saw in the Harvard study, everything comes down to love. It is what Jesus left his disciples with. A new command I give you, love one another. Just as I have loved you, so you must love one another. Who would have thought that love helps us to live longer? It sounds so simple. If we start ensuring that we have healthy relationships, it is the first step on our pathways to longevity.
Oh.